Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Super English Talks. I'm really happy that you're here with me today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that touches every single one of us at some point in life: forgiveness. Now, you might already have some ideas about what forgiveness means, or maybe you've had a hard time with it in your own life. Either way, I invite you to stay with me, listen with an open heart, and give yourself a chance to think about this important idea. This episode isn't just about learning English. It's also about learning something that can bring you more peace, more strength, and more freedom in your life. Why forgiveness matters. We all get hurt sometimes. People disappoint us. They break promises. They say words that cut us deeply. They do things that feel unfair. And if we're honest, we also hurt other people. Sometimes we do it without meaning to. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we say things we regret. Life is full of these moments. And when we don't know how to handle them, we can end up carrying around a lot of heavy pain inside us. That's where forgiveness comes in. Forgiveness helps us put that pain down. Imagine you've been carrying a very heavy bag on your back for many years. Every day it makes you tired. Every step feels harder because of the weight. Now imagine dropping that bag, standing tall again, and finally walking freely. That's what forgiveness feels like. What forgiveness is not. Many people get confused about forgiveness because they think it means something it does not mean. Forgiving someone does not mean saying what they did was okay. It does not mean you have to forget what happened. It does not mean you have to trust the person again or let them back into your life. And it definitely does not mean you are weak. In fact, forgiveness takes great courage. It is one of the bravest choices a person can make.
Why?
Because forgiveness is not about the other person at all. It's about you. It's about your healing, your peace, your freedom. The journey of forgiveness. Of course, forgiving is not always easy. Maybe you're thinking, but what they did was too big. How can I forgive that? Or maybe you've tried before, but the anger and sadness come back again and again. That's okay. Forgiveness is not usually something that happens all at once. It's more like a journey. A journey you take step by step. Sometimes it's a journey you take more than once. And that's normal. There's no need to rush. There's no single, perfect way to forgive. Everyone's journey is different. Forgiving yourself and others. Sometimes forgiveness means forgiving another person. Other times it means forgiving yourself. Both are important. Both are healing. Both allow you to move forward without being held back by guilt, pain, or resentment. When you forgive, you are not saying you win. You are saying, I choose peace over pain. I choose freedom over anger. That is the true power of forgiveness. A question for you. As we move through this episode together, I invite you to reflect. What does forgiveness mean to you? What might forgiveness look like in your life right now? Is there someone you need to forgive? Or is it yourself you need to forgive? Whatever your situation, remember this. Forgiveness is not about the other person winning. It's about you finally finding freedom. Final thoughts. So, take a deep breath. Think about the heavy bag you've been carrying. And imagine what it would feel like to finally set it down. By the end of this episode, I hope you will feel inspired to take even one small step, no matter how small, towards forgiveness in your own life. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. A gift of peace, strength, and freedom. So, let's take this journey together. Let's be honest with ourselves. Some things in life are simply too big, too painful, and too hurtful to be forgotten. And here's the truth. Trying to force yourself to forget doesn't really work. In fact, sometimes it makes things worse.
Why?
Because instead of facing our true feelings, we push them deep down. And when we push feelings down, they don't disappear. They stay inside us and hurt us even more. So, forgiveness is not about saying, "It's fine. No problem. Nothing happened." That's not forgiveness. That's pretending. Forgiveness is also not about letting the person who hurt you escape responsibility. It's not about saying, "You're free. You can do whatever you want. You're off the hook."
No.
People are still responsible for what they do. They still have to face the results of their choices. They still have to deal with the consequences. What forgiveness does is something very different. Forgiveness changes you. It changes what is happening inside your heart and inside your mind. It helps you stop carrying the heavy weight of anger, sadness, and bitterness. The heavy suitcase example. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you are carrying a very big, very heavy suitcase everywhere you go. At first, you think, "I can manage this. It's not so bad." But step by step, day by day, it gets harder. Your arms hurt. Your back hurts. Every step feels heavier than the last. And soon, you can't even remember what it felt like to walk freely without that heavy suitcase. That's exactly what holding on to pain feels like. It makes life heavier, harder, and more tiring. Forgiveness is like finally putting that suitcase down. It's like saying, "I don't want to carry this anymore.
I'm tired.
I deserve peace. I want to walk freely again." That is what forgiveness gives you, not a reward for the other person, but freedom for yourself. Forgiveness as a gift. I want you to think of forgiveness as a gift. But it's not a gift for the person who hurt you. It's a gift for you. When you forgive, you are not changing the past. We can never change the past, no matter how much we want to. What we can change is our relationship with the past. Forgiveness is saying, "Yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. But I will not let it control my present or my future." That's powerful. That's freedom. Forgiveness as unlocking a prison. Let's look at it another way. When we hold on to anger or resentment, it's like locking ourselves inside a mental prison. We replay the same painful story over and over in our heads. We keep ourselves trapped. But when we forgive, it's like unlocking that prison door and stepping outside into the fresh air. Suddenly you realize, I don't have to live in this pain anymore. I can choose peace instead. Forgiveness takes time. Now, I want to be clear. Forgiveness is not easy. It's not a magic word that makes everything better in 1 second. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes we need help. Maybe from a good friend, a counselor, or even quiet moments of reflection with ourselves. And sometimes we even have to forgive the same person more than once because the hurt comes back. That's okay. That's normal. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's a process. It's like a skill we practice. And the more we practice, the stronger we get at it. Forgiveness and boundaries. You might wonder, if I forgive, do I have to let that person back into my life? The answer is no. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. Forgiveness does not mean becoming friends again. It does not mean giving someone another chance to hurt you. It does not mean lowering your boundaries. You can forgive in your heart while still protecting yourself. You can forgive and also say, I need distance. I need healthy boundaries. That's not weakness. That's self-respect. Forgiving yourself. And what about forgiving ourselves? Sometimes that's even harder than forgiving others. We look back at mistakes we made. We replay bad choices in our minds. We hear that inner voice saying, "Why did I do that? I should have known better." And we feel shame or regret. But just like forgiving others, forgiving yourself is about putting down that heavy suitcase. It's about saying, "I made mistakes, yes, but I will not punish myself forever. I will learn, I will grow, and I will move forward." Self-forgiveness is not about excusing what you did. It's about accepting that you are human, and humans learn by making mistakes. Final thought. So remember this. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean excusing. It does not mean weakness. Forgiveness is about choosing peace over pain. It's about giving yourself the gift of freedom. It's about saying to yourself, "I am human. I made mistakes, but I can learn, I can grow, and I can move forward." Because here's the truth. If we don't forgive ourselves, we stay trapped in the same mental prison we talked about earlier. And none of us deserve that. We deserve to be free. We deserve to live without carrying shame or regret every single day. Think about this. If a close friend came to you and said, "I made a mistake. I feel terrible about it," would you tell them, "You should punish yourself forever"? Of course not. You'd probably say something like, "You're human. You can try again. Learn from it and move on." So, why can't we give that same kindness to ourselves? Forgiving yourself is simply treating yourself with the same compassion you'd give to someone you love. Common ideas that hold us back. As we continue this conversation, I want you to pause and reflect. What beliefs about forgiveness might be holding you back? Have you ever thought that forgiving someone means saying what they did was okay? Have you ever been afraid that if you forgive, people will see you as weak, foolish, or soft? If so, you're not alone. These are very common thoughts. Many people struggle with them. But here's the shift I want you to see. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not foolishness. In fact, forgiveness is one of the strongest and most powerful choices you can ever make.
Why?
Because it takes real courage to let go of pain. It takes real strength to choose peace instead of bitterness. And it takes wisdom to realize that when we refuse to forgive, we are the ones who suffer most, not the person who hurt us. So, let's continue this journey together. Why forgiving is so difficult. Now, let's be honest. Forgiveness sounds like a beautiful idea. It looks good on paper. It sounds inspiring when we talk about it. But when we try to actually forgive in real life, it can feel incredibly hard. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. You know in your mind that forgiveness could help you. You understand that holding on to anger only hurts you. And yet, when the moment comes, your heart just isn't ready. Why is that? Why is forgiving so difficult, even when we know it would bring us peace? The emotional weight of pain. One big reason is the emotional weight that comes with being hurt. When someone betrays us, lies to us, or disappoints us, it's natural to feel anger or sadness. These feelings can be so powerful that they stay with us long after the event is over. And sometimes, holding on to anger feels safer than letting it go. Think about it. Have you ever held on to anger because it made you feel strong? Maybe even protected? In a strange way, anger can feel like armor, like a hard shell around your heart. You tell yourself, "If I stay angry, I won't get hurt again." And yes, that anger might protect you for a little while. But over time, it also locks you up. It keeps you from healing. The role of pride. Another reason forgiveness is hard is pride. When someone hurts us, our sense of dignity feels attacked. We think, "Why should I forgive them? They don't deserve it." Or, If I forgive, people will think I'm weak. Pride tells us to stand tall and hold our grudges, to prove that we're strong. But here's the truth. Real strength isn't about holding grudges. Real strength is about knowing when to let go. Forgiveness doesn't push you down, it actually lifts you up. Perfectionism. Perfectionism can also block forgiveness. Some of us expect ourselves and others to be perfect. So when people fail us, we think, they should have known better. I would never do that. But the truth is, no one is perfect. Not you. Not me. Not anyone. And if we wait for perfection before we forgive, we'll be waiting forever. The fear of being hurt again. And finally, let's not forget about fear. Forgiving someone can feel scary, because forgiveness means opening your heart, even just a little, and that can make you feel vulnerable. You might think, what if they hurt me again? What if forgiving makes me look weak? These are real fears, and they can hold us back from forgiving. But here's something important. Forgiveness does not mean trusting blindly. Forgiveness and trust are different. You can forgive someone in your heart without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness is about your healing. Trust is about whether the other person has earned a place in your life again. You can forgive and still protect yourself with healthy boundaries. That's important to remember. Forgiveness does not mean opening the door for someone to hurt you again. You can let go of anger in your heart, but still say, I need space. I need distance. I need to protect my peace. That balance is part of true strength. How culture shapes forgiveness. Our culture and upbringing also play a big role in how we view forgiveness. In some cultures, forgiveness is seen as a sign of wisdom or spiritual maturity. People are told that to forgive is noble, that it shows strength and character. In other cultures, forgiveness is seen very differently. People are taught, never forget, never forgive. In those places, holding on to anger is connected to honor, pride, or protection. And of course, the way we grow up inside our families shapes us too. Maybe you heard messages like, forgiveness is only for the weak. Forgiveness must be earned. You can forgive, but you must never forget. Or even, you have to forgive no matter what. That's the only right thing to do. These lessons, repeated in our homes, schools, or communities, shape how we think about forgiveness as adults. Sometimes they encourage us. Other times, they confuse us or hold us back. So, if you have found forgiveness difficult, please know this. You are not alone. It's not because you are weak or broken. There are many reasons the heart holds on to pain. But at the same time, you can choose a new path. The first step is honesty. Be honest with yourself. What is really stopping me from forgiving? Is it anger? Is it pride? Is it fear? Or maybe a mix of all of them? The more honest you are with yourself, the easier it becomes to take small, gentle steps toward forgiveness, steps that are right for you. How holding grudges hurts us. Now, let's talk about what really happens when we hold on to a grudge. When someone hurts us, we sometimes think, I can't let this go. They don't deserve my forgiveness. Or maybe we say, if I stay angry, I'll stay strong. My anger will protect me from getting hurt again. But here's the truth. Holding on to anger does not protect us. It does not make us stronger. In fact, it often hurts us far more than it hurts the other person. The stress in our bodies. Think about this. Have you ever remembered something painful and suddenly noticed your body change? Maybe your heart started beating faster. Maybe your shoulders or stomach felt tight. Maybe your whole body tensed up. That's your stress response. Your body is acting as if the danger is happening right now, even though it's just a memory. And when you live in that state for a long time, when you keep replaying the hurt over and over, your body starts to suffer. People who hold grudges often experience anxiety, headaches, stomach problems, trouble sleeping. Imagine lying in bed at night, going over the same painful memory again and again. Your body can't relax. Your mind can't rest. After a while, you feel drained, not just physically, but emotionally too. This is the real cost of holding on to anger. A story about grudges. Let me share a story with you. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in it. There was a man I knew who had a falling out with his brother. It started with an argument about money. Voices were raised, harsh words were spoken. Both of them felt hurt, but neither wanted to take the first step to apologize. Later, when I asked the man if he thought he might forgive, he said, "Never." What he did was unforgivable. And so, years passed. He carried that anger everywhere. Whenever his brother's name came up, his face tightened. His voice grew sharp. You could see how much the pain still lived inside him. But here's the sad part. His brother moved on. His brother built a life, a family, and didn't carry the same anger anymore. The man, though, stayed trapped. His grudge didn't hurt his brother as much as it hurt him. That's often what happens when we hold on. We think we're punishing the other person, but in reality, we're punishing ourselves. And so the years passed. Every time someone mentioned his brother, you could see the tension rise in his face. His voice would change, his eyes would darken, and it was as if the argument had happened just yesterday. Meanwhile, his brother had moved on with his life. He wasn't carrying that weight anymore. But this man stayed stuck in the same painful memory, unable to let it go. And slowly, it began to affect other parts of his life too. His relationships with the rest of his family grew strained because nobody wanted to take sides. He started to have trouble sleeping, and his stress levels stayed high. But what struck me the most was this. Deep down, he missed his brother. He longed for that relationship. But his pride, his anger, and his refusal to forgive kept him locked inside a prison of pain. I sometimes wonder, if he had chosen forgiveness earlier, how much happier, freer, and healthier might his life have been? A reflection for you. So, here's a question I want you to reflect on. Is that pain really worth carrying for so long? When we refuse to forgive, we often think we are punishing the other person. But most of the time, they aren't even feeling our anger. They may not be thinking about us at all. We are the ones who keep carrying the weight. We are the ones who keep replaying the memory. We are the ones who suffer. So, who is really being punished? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you should forget what happened or pretend it didn't matter. But I am inviting you to think honestly. What am I carrying, and how is it affecting my life today? Because resentment is like poison. We drink it, hoping it will hurt the other person. But in the end, it only harms us. And your peace, your health, your joy, these are far too valuable to sacrifice for the sake of holding on to a grudge. So, as we continue, I invite you to ask yourself, what might change in my life if I finally put down that heavy weight? It might not happen overnight. It may take time, patience, and practice. But even the smallest step toward forgiveness can help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel lighter inside. And isn't that what we all truly want? To feel free.
To feel at peace.
To live with an open heart. How to start forgiving even when it feels impossible. So now, let's talk about something that might be on your mind. But how do I actually begin? How can I forgive when it feels impossible? Maybe the hurt runs very deep. Maybe the person who hurt you never said sorry. Maybe they don't even seem to care. Or maybe the memory keeps replaying in your mind, and just the thought of forgiving makes you feel angry all over again. These feelings are normal. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things we are ever asked to do, especially when the wound is still fresh, or when it has been with us for a very long time. But like any difficult journey, forgiveness begins with small steps. And the good news is this: you don't have to do it all at once. As the old saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. And the same is true for forgiveness. It takes time. It takes patience. And that's okay. Step 1. Acknowledge the hurt. The very first step is simply this: acknowledge the hurt. It might sound simple, but it's actually one of the hardest parts.
Why?
Because sometimes we try to hide our pain even from ourselves. We say things like, "It's fine. I don't care. I'm over it. It doesn't matter anymore." But deep down, the pain is still there, waiting to be noticed. Acknowledging the hurt means giving yourself permission to feel what you really feel. It means being honest, even if it's uncomfortable. You might want to take some quiet time alone. Maybe write in a journal. Maybe just sit and reflect. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it disappointment? Is it shame? The more clearly you can name your emotions, the easier it becomes to understand them. And once you understand them, you can begin to heal them. Here are a few suggestions to make this section even stronger. Tighten transitions. Some parts repeat ideas, like acknowledging versus understanding, and could be linked with smoother transitions, so it feels like a natural progression rather than a restart. Highlight the contrast. You could emphasize more clearly that forgiveness is not excusing or forgetting, but freeing yourself. That reminder helps reduce resistance in readers. Add a reflective pause. After Sarah's story, maybe add a direct reflection question to the reader like, "Can you think of a situation where holding on has taken more from you than you realized?" This makes the lesson personal. Circle back to peace. Since you framed forgiveness as a choice for peace, you might close this section by returning to that central theme, that forgiveness is not about the other person, but about reclaiming your own peace and freedom. With time, what once felt impossible can slowly become possible. Forgiveness is like that. At first, it might feel out of reach, but as the days and weeks go by, your heart begins to open in small ways. So, as you think about forgiveness in your own life, I want to invite you to ask yourself a gentle question. What small step can I take today? Maybe that small step is writing down your feelings in a notebook so they don't stay trapped inside your head. Maybe it's saying one kind and encouraging word to yourself instead of being harsh. Or maybe it's simply setting an intention in your heart, whispering to yourself, "I am ready to begin the journey toward forgiveness, even if I don't know how yet." Whatever your step looks like, remember this truth: Rome wasn't built in a single day.
Great things take time.
And your path toward forgiveness will also take time. It will be built one step at a time, one choice at a time, one breath at a time. Forgiving others versus forgiving yourself. So far, we've talked a lot about forgiving other people, why it feels so difficult, and how you can begin the process. But there is another part of forgiveness that we often forget. That part is forgiving ourselves. In fact, forgiving ourselves can sometimes be even harder than forgiving others. Think about it. When someone else hurts us, we can choose to create space, set boundaries, or let go of their control over our emotions. But when the person who caused the pain is ourselves, we cannot walk away. We live with ourselves every single day. We live with our choices, our memories, and yes, sometimes our regrets. That makes self-forgiveness more complicated, because now we are both the one who is hurt and the one who did the hurting. And that creates an inner struggle that feels heavy and painful. Why forgiving ourselves is so hard. One reason is self-doubt. After making a mistake, especially a big one, we start asking painful questions. How could I have done that? What kind of person am I? These questions slowly eat away at us. Over time, we may begin to believe that our mistake defines us. Instead of saying, I made a bad choice, we start to say, I am a bad person. That shift in thinking makes forgiveness almost impossible. Because how can you forgive yourself if you believe you are unworthy of forgiveness? Another reason is perfectionism. Many of us hold ourselves to very high standards. We expect to always say the right words, always make the right choices, always be kind and wise, and never fail. But the truth is simple. Nobody is perfect. Every single human being makes mistakes. Every single person has moments they wish they could take back. That is part of being alive. The problem comes when we expect perfection from ourselves. When we do that, we leave no space for kindness, no space for compassion. We are quick to forgive a friend who says something harsh in a moment of stress. We might comfort them by saying, "It's okay. I know you didn't mean it." But when it is us, we replay it over and over in our minds, punishing ourselves, expecting to be better than human. This is why self-forgiveness is so hard. It requires us to remember that we are human, not flawless. It requires us to treat ourselves with the same patience and gentleness that we so easily give to the people we love. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean pretending that mistakes didn't happen. It means understanding that your mistakes are something you did, not who you are. It means choosing to learn from them instead of letting them define you. And just like forgiving others, forgiving yourself takes time, patience, and practice. I want to invite you to pause and really think about this. Are you kinder to other people than you are to yourself? Imagine a close friend comes to you, feeling guilty about something they did. How would you speak to them? Would you shame them? Would you call them terrible or say they don't deserve forgiveness? Probably not. You would listen. You would show care. You would remind them that everyone makes mistakes. You would encourage them to learn from it and move forward. Now, imagine offering that same kindness to yourself. What would change if you spoke to yourself the way you speak to a dear friend? Self-forgiveness isn't about ignoring mistakes or pretending they didn't happen. It's about facing them honestly, learning from them, and then letting go of the guilt that keeps you stuck. It sounds like this. Yes, I made a mistake. But that mistake does not define me. I am more than the worst thing I've ever done. And just like forgiving others, forgiving yourself takes time. It's a process. Some days you'll feel peaceful about your past. Other days, old feelings may return. That's normal. What matters most is that you keep choosing compassion over self-criticism again and again. I know this isn't easy. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one we see in the mirror. But remember, forgiveness, whether for others or for yourself, is a gift. It brings freedom. It brings peace. It brings healing. And you deserve that gift as much as anyone else. So ask yourself, what would it feel like to truly forgive myself? What would I gain if I let go of this self-blame and chose kindness instead? Maybe, just maybe, you can take the first small step today. Practical tips for a daily forgiveness practice. Forgiveness isn't a one-time event. It's a habit you practice. Small, steady actions can help you heal over time. Here are simple tools you can start using today. 1. Journaling 5 to 10 minutes. Writing helps you see your feelings clearly instead of holding them inside. Prompt A. What happened? How did it make me feel? What do I wish had been different? Prompt B. What value felt broken? Trust, fairness, loyalty, respect. Prompt C. Self-forgiveness. What did I learn? What will I try next time? Unsent letter. Write a letter to the person who hurt you, or to yourself. You do not have to send it. The goal is to let the feelings move out of your head and onto paper. Afterwards, store it away or safely tear it up, your choice. 2. A simple meditation, 3 minutes. You don't need to be perfect at meditation. Just breathe and be present.
Sit comfortably.
Inhale through the nose for a slow count of 4. Exhale through the mouth for a slow count of 6. On each exhale, silently say, I choose peace. If your mind wanders, gently come back to the breath. That's the practice. 3. Self-kindness phrases any time of day. Speak to yourself like you would to a friend. I'm doing my best with what I know now. I can learn from this. I release what I can't control today. I am more than my mistakes. 4. The pause, name, choose method, 30 seconds. When a memory or trigger shows up,
Pause your reaction.
name what you feel. This is anger/shame/sadness. Choose a helpful action, 10 breaths, a quick walk, or writing one sentence in your journal. 5. Intention setting, morning, 10 seconds. A tiny mindset shift, daily. Today, I am willing to move one small step toward forgiveness. Willingness is enough. You don't have to feel ready. Just be willing. 6. Boundaries that protect your peace. Forgiveness does not mean unlimited access. I'm not ready to discuss this right now. That topic is off limits for me. I need some space to heal. Healthy boundaries support forgiveness by reducing re-injury. 7. Perspective practice, 2 minutes. Ask yourself, if I were watching this as a movie, what would I notice about each person's fears and needs? Understanding is not excusing. It simply softens the grip of anger so you can breathe. 8. Gratitude anchor, 1 minute. Each evening, write down 3 small things that were good today. Gratitude doesn't erase hurt, but it balances your attention and builds resilience. 9. If, then plan for triggers. Plan your response before the moment arrives. If I get a painful memory, then I will do 10 breaths and write 2 sentences. If I see their name/photo, then I will step outside for fresh air and repeat, I choose peace. 10. Weekly reflection, once a week, 10 minutes. What helped me this week? What still hurts? What is one gentle step I can take next week? A gentle closing. With time, what once felt impossible can become possible. You don't have to do everything today. Pick one small practice and begin. 1 breath, 1 sentence, 1 kind word to yourself. Your heart learns by practice. Step by step, you'll feel lighter. Step by step, you'll feel freer. And step by step, you'll remember, peace is possible for you. When I talk about meditation, I don't mean that you have to sit for hours in silence or try to completely empty your mind. It doesn't need to be complicated. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a big difference. You can simply find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and focus on your breathing. Notice the air as it moves in and out. As you breathe, you can gently repeat a phrase in your mind like, I choose peace, or I let go of anger. These words, combined with slow and calm breathing, can help bring you back to the present moment. Meditation reminds us of something important. Forgiveness isn't only about the past or the future. It's about what we decide in this moment right now. Each breath gives us a chance to choose peace, to soften our hearts, and to let go a little bit more. Another helpful practice is talking with someone you trust, a close friend, a family member, or even a therapist. Sometimes, just speaking your thoughts out loud can make them feel lighter. When we share our feelings, they no longer sit heavy and unspoken inside us. A supportive listener doesn't need to fix everything for us. Often, what we need most is someone who will hear us without judgment. They might give us a new perspective, or they might simply hold space so we feel less alone. And that in itself can bring comfort and healing. Reframing is another powerful tool for daily forgiveness. Reframing means choosing to see the situation from a different angle. For example, instead of thinking, they hurt me on purpose, you might consider, maybe they acted out of their own pain or confusion. Or if you find yourself saying, I can never forgive myself for what I did, you could reframe it into, this was a mistake, but I can learn from it so I don't repeat it. Reframing is not about excusing bad behavior, yours or anyone else's. It's about widening your perspective so you can find more compassion, both for others and for yourself. It's about remembering that most people, including you, are usually doing the best they can with what they know at the time. Forgiveness practices are not new. Across cultures and traditions, forgiveness has always been seen as something sacred and healing. In Judaism, there is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, when people reflect on their actions over the past year, ask for forgiveness, and offer forgiveness to others. In Islam, during the holy month of Ramadan, people are encouraged to let go of anger and grudges, to seek forgiveness from God, and to make peace with others. These traditions remind us that forgiveness is not only a personal act, it's also about our connection with other people and with the world around us. It has the power to mend relationships, bring communities closer, and create peace within ourselves. And here's the truth. Forgiveness doesn't need to be a big, dramatic event. It doesn't need to happen all at once. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to forgive. Forgiveness is something we practice in small steps, again and again. The small steps are what truly change us over time. That might look like writing down your thoughts in a journal so your feelings have a safe place to go. Or taking a few minutes to breathe and repeat a calming phrase. Or having an honest conversation with someone you trust. Or simply choosing one kind thought about yourself or about someone else, even if you're not ready to forgive fully yet. Each small step matters. Each gentle choice to lean toward peace helps. And over time, these little practices begin to reshape the way we carry pain, turning it into something lighter, something that doesn't hold us back anymore. All of these small acts of forgiveness add up. Each little choice you make, to breathe, to reframe a thought, to let go of a tiny piece of pain, builds a habit over time. Day by day, it becomes easier. One day, you may look back and realize that something which once felt impossible now feels natural, even peaceful. So, as you think about your own forgiveness journey, pause and ask yourself, what small step can I take today? How can I practice forgiveness in a way that feels real to me? Remember, forgiveness isn't about changing the past. The past is already written. Forgiveness is about creating a better, lighter, freer future for yourself and for the people around you. What forgiveness can bring into your life. When we choose forgiveness, And I say choose because it is always a choice. Something powerful begins to shift inside us. At first, it may be subtle, almost too quiet to notice. It might feel like a soft breeze, gentle and fleeting. But if you keep choosing forgiveness, the change grows stronger. Your heart begins to feel lighter. The heavy weight you've been carrying, sometimes without even realizing it, slowly starts to lift. Think of it like carrying a backpack full of stones, anger, regret, sadness. Every step you take feels heavier because of that load. But each time you forgive, it's like taking one stone out. With every release, your steps become easier, your spirit freer. And one day you notice, you're walking without the burden that once weighed you down. That lightness of heart is one of the greatest gifts forgiveness can give you. Forgiveness also transforms the way we relate to others. When we let go of old grudges, we make space for kindness, patience, and understanding to grow. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened or inviting harmful people back into your life. Boundaries are still important, but forgiveness allows you to stop letting the past control how you treat others in the present. Have you noticed how holding on to anger toward one person can spill into every part of life? Maybe it makes you less patient with your family, less trusting with friends, quicker to judge strangers. Carrying pain from one relationship can silently poison many others. But when you forgive, you stop that chain reaction. You open the door to warmer, healthier connections. Not just with the person you forgave, but with everyone around you. You begin to trust more, listen more, and love more fully. Forgiveness doesn't just heal one relationship. It reshapes the way you connect with the whole world. Another gift of forgiveness is peace of mind. Think about how exhausting it is to stay angry. The hours we spend replaying old arguments in our heads. The sleepless nights. The tension that settles into our shoulders, our jaws, our chest. All of that drains our energy and steals our joy. Forgiveness frees us from that endless cycle. It lets us return to the present moment. It gives us back the simple pleasures, a walk in the sunshine, a laugh with a friend, a quiet cup of tea, moments that are easy to miss when our minds are trapped in the past. This kind of peace, the peace that fills both heart and mind, is priceless. Let me share a story with you. There was a man named Daniel. For many years, Daniel carried deep anger toward his father. When he was a child, his father was harsh and distant. Daniel longed for affection, but what he received instead was criticism and coldness. Those wounds shaped him. Even as an adult, even after his father passed away, Daniel still carried that pain. The anger stayed alive inside him, like a fire he couldn't put out. Daniel believed that forgiving his father would mean saying that everything was okay. But in his heart, he knew it wasn't okay. What happened to him was real. It hurt. And he didn't want to dishonor his own pain by pretending otherwise. Over time, Daniel realized something important. The anger he had been holding onto for so many years was hurting him more than anyone else. It was affecting his marriage, his friendships, and even his ability to enjoy life. One day, while walking alone and thinking deeply, he made a quiet decision. He said to himself, "I cannot change what happened in the past, but I can choose to stop letting it control me." Daniel didn't feel forgiveness all at once. It didn't happen in a single moment. Instead, it came slowly, step by step. He started by writing in his journal, pouring out all the hurt and anger he had been carrying. He spoke to a trusted friend, sharing his feelings openly. And he began saying small, kind words to himself, reminding himself that he could let go, even if it felt hard. With each small act, Daniel noticed a change. The heavy anger that had lived inside him for so long began to soften. He started to feel lighter, calmer, and more at peace. Slowly, he began to experience a kind of happiness that he hadn't felt in years. This is the gift that forgiveness can bring into your life. It doesn't erase the past. Nothing can change what has already happened. But forgiveness can change your future. It can change how you feel, how you see the world, and how you live your life. It can open doors that once seemed closed. It can help you move forward without being chained to old pain. And it can help you approach the world with a softer heart and gentler eyes. Ultimately, isn't that what we all want? To feel free to love, to grow, and to live fully. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone else win. It's about letting you win. It's about choosing peace instead of pain, freedom instead of bitterness, hope instead of regret. It's not always quick, and it's not always easy. But every small step you take toward forgiveness is a step toward a lighter, brighter, more peaceful life. And that is something worth striving for. Before we finish today, I want you to take a quiet moment to reflect. Who do you need to forgive? Maybe it's someone close to you, a friend, a family member, or a coworker. Maybe it's someone from long ago, whose actions still hurt you today. Or maybe the person you most need to forgive is yourself. Sometimes we carry guilt or regret for years, punishing ourselves over and over for past mistakes. But what if you chose, even just for a moment, to let that heavy weight go? What if you gave yourself permission to stop carrying that pain? Imagine what your life could feel like if you did. Would your mind feel clearer? Would your relationships feel warmer? Would you feel freer to enjoy your day, your work, your time with others? Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what happened. It does not mean saying everything is okay or trusting someone who hurt you again. Forgiveness is about choosing peace instead of pain. It's about stopping the past from controlling your future. It's about giving yourself the chance to heal, to breathe, and to move forward with a lighter heart. Here's a small challenge for you this week. Take just one step toward forgiveness. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe you write down your feelings in a journal. Maybe you spend a few quiet minutes each morning breathing deeply and saying to yourself, I choose peace. Maybe you think of one kind or understanding thought about the person who hurt you, or about yourself if self-forgiveness is what you need. Small steps like these may not seem like much at first, but over time they build a new habit, a new way of thinking, and a new mindset. With each small act, you get closer to the peace and freedom you deserve. You can also practice your English as you explore forgiveness. Talk about it with a friend or a language partner. Share your reflections, your ideas, or your own experiences. Speaking about meaningful topics like this not only improves your language skills, but also deepens your connection with others. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to Super English Talks. Share it with someone who might find it helpful, or leave a comment with your thoughts. Your support helps build a community of people who are learning, growing, and supporting each other along the journey. Remember, forgiveness is a journey. It takes time, courage, and kindness, especially toward yourself. But every small step matters. Each step is a choice to let go of pain, to open your heart, and to live more freely. I hope today's conversation inspires you to take that first step. And remember, be gentle with yourself. You are doing the best you can, and that is more than enough.